Yo, what is up, everybody? Bren here. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday. It is January 24th. Was going to stream earlier, but now we're here. Hope everybody is, again, I know most people in Europe, things later at night. In the US, where I'm at, it is 2:16 p.m. here where I'm at in California. Let me just go ahead and share my screen here real quickly before I forget. But hope everybody's having an amazing day, night, wherever you're at. Right now it is in 2 p.m. here where I'm at in California. Most of the United States is getting fucking destroyed by snow and ice. And my producer here, my good friend Can't Stop Me Now, who's here helping me, super icy where he's at. A lot of negative temperatures in the Midwest. On the east, snow going like crazy. So if you're in the way of the storm, obviously be safe. I kind of wish there was some snow out here in California. It gets fucking boring. 60 degrees here. I know it sounds fucking whatever, but like I said, hope everybody's having a great day. Today, lots of stuff to talk about. Usually do Tuesdays and Fridays streams, but love doing these Saturday streams, hanging out with everybody. Before we go ahead and get started, before we go ahead and talk about why I think Bitcoin or gold is foreshadowing Bitcoin, is a foreshadowing for Bitcoin and why I think digital gold, Bitcoin, and the rest of the crypto market is next. Penguin obviously went crazy the last few days. I think up 60 or 70x. You had a white whale a few weeks ago do something similar. I think this is a sign that the crypto market is healing and ramping up. And we'll go ahead and go over how potentially you can catch the next penguin, or at least part of the move, in a nice, efficient way. Obviously, posted a setup in the Telegram last night. It did just that. So we'll go ahead and talk about that. Go ahead and talk about what exactly is going to kick us into the next bull run. A lot of good other stuff as well, and NFTs, other areas. We'll go ahead and review some content from Twitter, all that good stuff. But before we get started, appreciate everybody for being here. If you guys could comment on the stream, tweet, share, obviously follow if you haven't already. Always appreciate it. And first, before we get started, I always like to see this. Let me know two things in the chat. Let me know where you're from, where you're tuning in from, whether country, region, wherever you're at, state. And then whether this is your first time or returning. Always love to see the new faces in the stream as well as returning. People, what is good, Carl? How you doing, brother? We got called Kyle as well. How you doing, bro? Conductor, I appreciate you for reposting. What's up, Affinity? But let me go ahead and check something really quick, guys. But yeah, also let me know if you're coming in from the Telegram channel, right? Bossman calls or BMCs in the chat. Returning from Germany. Damn. How's the weather like out there in the EU right now? Or in Europe. But let's just go ahead and look at Bitcoin. Again, I always like to pull up Bitcoin first. Shout out to Bossman for commenting on the stream. If you haven't already, obviously, the top of the show, if you haven't already, check out the Bossman Calls Telegram channel where I spend a lot of my time when I'm not on Twitter. Get all the trade ideas, all the stuff that I'm looking at and stuff first, in depth, like trade ideas, giveaways, meme coin stuff, majors, leverage trading, education, all that good stuff. Check it out if you haven't already. And then my good friend and business partner, Boss Man, as well. I know most of you probably already following. But let's go ahead and get into today. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and talk about Bitcoin first and foremost. Like to always start the show with that, because Bitcoin drives the entire market. Pump fund, NFTs, even obviously ETH and the when I say Bitcoin, it's really Bitcoin and the majors drive the entire crypto market. Okay, you literally overlay the pump fund volume charts, for example, on the Bitcoin chart, they're almost identical. Okay, this is the life cycle of the crypto market essentially for the last 3 or 4 years. Okay, Bitcoin comes out of the these bottoms, or really Bitcoin comes out of a bottom. Usually consolidation of 2 to 3, we or at least 3 to 8 weeks, goes up, starts pumping, pump fund volumes start to go up. Meme coins and altcoins that survived and are still, pushing, come out of the ashes. A lot of them go to all-time highs. New metas start to sprout out. We saw the AI meta in 2024, at the top right of here. Everything is good in crypto. Then what happens? Usually 3, 6, 9 months later, Bitcoin will top out, like we saw here in December, and then kind of come down. Meme coin volume dries up. The meme coins come down 50 to 90%. A lot of coins die out. All really no new metas. The 5 to 10 million, 20 million toppers or whatever, start to turn into a million toppers. Everybody's depressed. A lot of people lose money. And then what does Bitcoin do again? Come down 30%, bottom out for, like I said, 3 to 8 weeks, go up again, and we start that same cycle over again. And I think people have short memories, and they like to blame these kind of micro things on macro problems. And yeah, and that's why I talk about Bitcoin so much, and that's why I think even if you own zero Bitcoin, which I think you should, um, but even if you own zero Bitcoin, if you're a crypto, NFT, whatever person, the reason why you should care is because Bitcoin drives the entire market. And I've been very adamant the last few months in all the content on the streams everywhere that we're showing a lot of signs chart wise, and especially outside of the charts and the fundamentals and everything going on at the regulatory side, especially institutional side. Macro is improve in. I'm sorry, continuing to improve. We have risk assets, the stock market continuing to show strength, and then the charts. The biggest thing is a consolidation. Like I said, every consolidation ends with 3 to 8 weeks of holding a certain low. Happened here. We held 77K for 3 weeks, went up. We held 53K in July of 2024 for 8 weeks and went up. What have we been doing here? We've been holding 81K for about, what is this? 9 weeks even. And to me, especially the last few weeks of price action, where we did come back up here, but didn't get the weekly candle close, which is the kind of final confirmation, and kind of came back into this range. Now that we're kind of chopping, going slow here, what I think we're looking at is very likely the final piece, or like the final phase of what I think is this bottom and this base, this 9 week consolidation that I believe is going to lead to a base that leads us back above 100K in the coming weeks. Okay. Now, again, this could take a week to play out, could take 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks, but I do think by the end of Q1, or, by Q1, I think we are going to be higher, and sometime in Q1. And I think we push to 100K. Again, very short term, which I know a lot of you guys are probably looking at, is I think we probably will come down a bit more. I don't think that this consolidation is going to lead back to a move here. Usually we'll get a move down a little bit further to at least a higher low, sweeping the low, which I could see happen. Again, we saw that back in April, as you guys can see what I mean by a sweep. When someone says a sweep of a low, what it means is they have a low here that was already is already there. You come back below that low, sweep it, and then come back and then really form, go higher. I could see something like that, but I do think in the next couple weeks, in the coming days, we are going to see that bottom in Bitcoin, and we are going to push back to 94K And once we see a weekly candle close above that high at 94K, I think it's going to lead to a move to at least 100 into the hundreds. And at that point, my base case and what I think is going to happen, because of all the fundamentals, all the regulatory stuff, institutional side is great, and all this stuff about crypto. You saw it, the um, World Economic Forum yesterday, which we'll talk a bit about. A lot of it had to do with crypto. This is the biggest like economic forum where they go and talk about the world's economy and what they're going to do to, all the world's superpowers and all the, people that own all the biggest companies go and talk about the future of finance in the world. And crypto was talked about a lot. You had Larry Fink talk about how he wants the world and everybody to be under one blockchain, and who knows what that'll be. And just blockchain and crypto is a huge thing. It's just I think gonna merge with everything, like I've been saying. And yeah, in that world, I think once Bitcoin does see this bottom here, that this next leg up probably takes us to all-time highs, 140, 150K. Um, just like we saw here. And just to close out this part, and I think the weekly candle close is the right, as you can see here, weekly candle close above the previous consolidation high, weekly candle close above the consolidation high. 4 out of 4 times after this has happened since 2023, guys, this has led to all-time highs every single time. So even if you think this time is different, I think we're going to get a bounce here. Um, Again, that I think the historic thing, everything's there to where I think this next leg up, very, like I said, very likely takes us to 150K plus. Like I said, that's why I think gold is very likely foreshadowing Bitcoin. I think even a little bit of that capital can go, if it goes into gold, from gold into Bitcoin ETFs. I think it, sends Bitcoin way higher. And yeah, the Clarity Act, all this stuff that's happening right now makes that more likely. And shout out to anybody who holds any type of gold. I know, like, my producer and friend Can't Stop Me Now, like I said, has a lot of gold and silver, a lot of good friends. I remember back in the day when I was just starting in the market, everybody was talking about, oh, silver, if there's ever a gold and silver, if there's ever like a world catastrophe, like you want to have a lot of silver. Um, and it's just, it's crazy to see this thing 2x in the last, couple years, which is huge for gold. And, and yeah, I expect gold obviously to continue as they continue to debase the dollar. And hold on, let me shut my window real quickly. As they continue, sorry about that, guys. As they continue to debase the dollar, over time, I think gold's going to continue up. But I think the world's going to go more digital, and Bitcoin, I think, is where the big play is here, longer term, or really long term and short term. So, like I said, I think Bitcoin chops down a bit more here. Probably you could sweep the low, could form a higher low, or could just form an equal low for all I know. But I think between here and 81K in the next few weeks, finally forms that bottom, that kind of final leg here, just like here, and pushes back above 100K. Now, if you're looking for kind of if your final confirmation that this setup is done and that we're going to push higher, is a weekly candle close. Again, you go to the weekly chart, you pull up the W weekly candle closes 4 out of 4 times have led to an all-time high for Bitcoin, above the consolidation high. So that's kind of the final confirmation for me, what I'm doing and how I'm handling this, guys. Like I said, I'm more of a long-term buy and hold, buying during these corrections and taking profits on the way up. Sometimes that means I'm accumulating coins for, days, weeks, and months for sometimes. But since 2023, I've been doing this, accumulating during these corrective periods where everybody thinks the market is over, taking profits on the way up, while still also, again, I think this is the key here. You don't have to be all or nothing on all or one side. I think most of what I do is the buy and hold stuff. That gives me more of an edge. But I also, as you guys can see here, white whale, we nailed for 3 million. Talked about it here in the stream. It went all the way up to what, 150. Took profits, told everybody again on the way up, take profits on the way up. So we can still be the more buy and hold long-term investor types while also playing, with the playing with the white whale. No, playing with uh smaller coins again. But the key distinction is you want to play, the smaller coins, the penguins, the white whales, the SPSC, the all these smaller ones, you want to be with a smaller part of your port again, because these things swing big and all that. So yeah, I think Bitcoin's finding its bottom here in the next few weeks. Will be nice when we push above 100K or 94K with a weekly candle close. And then really the final boss, like confirmation, that has been the line in the sand between the bear market and correction for Bitcoin, is this 200 moving average. Again, we're on the daily chart. You go ahead and pull up indicators. You type in moving average, make sure it's the SMA, simple moving average. The 200 is this red line here in 2022, essentially, just to make it really short. I don't want to go into this for too long, but just in 2022, Bitcoin came down kind of like it has now from the last few months. It bounced and failed to break above this moving average, and then came down 75%. So essentially, failing to break this moving average was kind of the confirmation that we're going to move lower. Whereas inversely, every time that Bitcoin is corrected during this bull market, it is always recovered above that 200 moving average within within a month or two of the bottom. As you can see here, and then really now, what would really determine for me the final kind of confirmation that the all-time highs are very likely, or that we're so back, is that if Bitcoin closes above this 200 moving average. Obviously, to play devil's advocate, did this last stream, but if Bitcoin were to do something like this instead, where obviously came back down, bounced. I think we're going to get this bounce, but then kind of just failed to do anything else, and then came down. That is definitely something possible as well. Again, that would probably confirm, just like in 2022, that we're getting a longer bear market. But yeah, the 200 moving average, if you want to watch that. But I think guys, just to kind of close it out on the chart section for Bitcoin, is that I think we're going to see this bottom here on the way up in this bounce. Everybody's going to get euphoric. Everybody's going to flip to the other side of, oh, we're going to see all-time highs. If you want to set yourself apart and kind of eliminate the emotion and the euphoria and all that shit, watch this 200 moving average and what it does as it approaches there. Obviously, we'll be updating everybody. We'll be talking about it in the streams and all that. But 200 moving average is very, very important kind of line in the sand. For what I'm doing is just accumulating the 5 to 10 coins I really believe in for this next run up, in the different market cap ranges, which we can talk about. Let me know in the chat if you want to know that. We can go over it. But and then you know just preparing myself, collecting NFTs, doing different stuff, which we'll get into, and then just waiting for this next wave, guys, because I think once it happens, it'll be strong. There'll be different opportunities, shorter term opportunities, collecting opportunities. But I think the name of the game and the key that separates a lot of my friends who continuously not just make money once, but like continuously build and continuously do shit in the space, is that they're able to survive these times without going insane from boredom, but also not blowing all their money from making poor decisions. So, yeah, just waiting out these times. I think it's going to be a few more weeks, maybe. Could happen tomorrow. But again, I want to see another push down from Bitcoin, and then I think we move higher. I know I just went on a long rant here, but wow, 363 people that popped in here for a minute, or in the last minute or so. But if you guys could like, comment, reshare, tweet, all that good stuff. I know it's a slow time in general in the markets, but I fucking always love hanging out with all of you guys. It's always nice to see the people who are serious and the people who stuck around during this time, because I know, like I saw in the last couple corrections, like I see in the last cycle, those are always the people who to pay attention to, and the people who do big shit and just make big growth in the next cycle. So I appreciate everybody for hanging out with me here, especially on a fucking Saturday. Um, what's good? I'm Ninja. I'm in LA right now. Just left. Midwest is freezing. That's what's up, bro. What you're in LA? Yeah, I'm in Orange County. I have to dox I don't even give a shit. I'm gonna fully dox myself soon anyway, face and all. So no, I'm in Orange County. Um, so that's cool, bro. Let me know how long you've been in LA for. Pretty chill, like 3 Celsius. Holy shit. Y'all are probably pretty used to that in the winters, though, huh? 20 and 30. What's good, brother? I'm just getting back to the chat right now. I know I went on my little Bitcoin rant, but VNox says Cape Town, South Africa. G, always here and returning. Thank you, bro. I've seen you here quite a lot. So Cape Town. So I've not been to Africa at all. Um, did a lot of traveling around the U.S. last year to go to different events and meet up with friends and cool different shit. You know, a lot of time in like the East, Midwest, South. But this year I want to travel internationally. Thinking about going to the Dominican Republic soon. I know it's random. Definitely want to hit Europe. Maybe hang out with my homie called Kyle here in Germany. Africa would be crazy. South Africa for sure. I have a few friends who their grandparents and their family were from there. This is the accent and stuff, and a lot of the lingo they use is cool. But that's what's up. Vnox says, "Yo, Brenna's Bossman channel, the only Telegram you're active in, or what type of partnership do you guys have?" Yeah, no, Bossman and I have been. The story. I'll quickly tell the story. It's fun. 2023, November 2023, Bossman and I kind of joined up together. He started the channel in probably earlier that year in 2023, kind of as the meme coin stuff was starting to bubble up. Him and I, were acquaintances on the timeline. I'd been following each other for a bit, but he had hit me up, wondering if I wanted to come on with him and join up with him on the Telegram and have ownership and all that, whatever. When we were at 300 members, and then meme coins starting to bubble up. And together we've run up the channel from 300 members up to 40,000 now. From people all over the world, as you guys can see in this chat, from freaking people from South Africa, whatever, mostly from the Telegram channel. That's why I love Telegram, man, and the discoverability and all the people I've been able to meet from all over the world has been great. But to answer your question, yes, Boss Man, that is the only Telegram channel that I post in. It's called Bossman Calls, but Bossman and I have built it together. And yeah, that's the only Telegram you'll find my stuff in. But yeah, no, Bossman and I are partners and been working together now for over 2 years. So shout out to him. He's if you're not following him, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Um but yeah, I hope that answers your question. No other telegrams. Bossman Calls is it. What dates all time high in Bitcoin? 1.5 months. And by the way, keep the fucking questions coming too. I always love to answer the questions, man. Or just you want to chop it up. What dates all time high in Bitcoin? That's a good question, brother. So I don't think I'm logged in right now, but Poly Market. Okay, I actually am putting my money where my mouth. Usually, timing is always hard. Like month, like what month could happen. Like the same setup. Who's asking this? Carl. Same setup could play out in 2 months or it could take 4 months. Like the consolidations, for example. Sometimes the consolidations are 3 weeks, sometimes they're 8 weeks, sometimes they're 10 weeks. You never know. But this time I actually am putting my money where my mouth is and bought some of these. Let's see, what price will Bitcoin hit in? What is it? Bit. Where is it again? I'm not logged in right now. I don't want to pull up my. Oh, Bitcoin all time high buy. Okay, so I have some yes on Bitcoin all time high by June. And then a little bit of Bitcoin all time high by March. Okay, so that one's a stretch. My thinking on these, Carl, is I am, even if Bitcoin doesn't hit all time high by June, which I think there's a solid shot. Like I said, guys, I think this next leg probably takes us to all time highs. 5 months. Is it by June or is it in June? By June 30th. That in the next 5 months, essentially, that if we are going to see all time highs on this next leg, that I think in 5 months that'll likely happen. Even if it doesn't happen, especially on the March 31st ones. The cool thing is on Poly Market and on what's it called? Prediction markets in general, is you don't have to hold it for the entire time. So, like I said, the way that the markets work is that people get really euphoric on both sides, and this is all actually reflective in the Poly market odds, right? Like right now, everybody is just so tired and bored and whatever. Like nobody is really thinking we're going to hit all time highs by June. It's just a very low shot. Even if people think it's possible, it's just not what they're betting on. Market's been so boring, nothing's really going on. But if we were to move up to 100K, even if we weren't to go at all time highs, but just went to 100K, you and I both know, or if you've been here for a while, you know that those odds very likely, I think, jump to 40-50% just if we go back to 100K. And in that time, I could get a nice 2x just off of trading those odds. Could take partial profits, hold the rest, or if I'm feeling really crazy, hold it all the way in June. And who knows, maybe we hit an all time high and I get a 5x from this. So that's how I'm kind of playing it. I hope that answers your question. I think very likely if we just go back and look at after we bottomed here in this one, it took 3 months to hit all time highs. From here, it took, I'm sorry, to hit all time highs is different. November 7th. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen, my bad. From April to October, 6 months to hit all time highs. Oh, I'm sorry, from the bottom, it took 2 months to hit all time highs. From the bottom in here, it took a month and a half to hit all time highs. So, I mean, if we're going to bottom out here and do go to all time highs, I think even that March one could be a much better bet than people are expecting right now. So, that's how I'm playing it. Rolly says BMCs appreciate you for being here. Soul Reaper reposted the stream. Appreciate you, brother. Dark Calvin says up BMCs. Thank you for being here, bro. Talking about small coins like I ain't buying coins at 6K market cap. Yeah, small coins for me. I'm small coins for me are probably not small coins for you fucking motherfuckers in the trenches who are trading all the small coins, which I respect that shit. It's just not my. All you guys are killing it though. I know there's a lot of guys I know that commented on my post, which if you haven't checked out already about Penguin, called Penguin in the Telegram channel, and I say called it. It's like not like I was super early on it or anything, but really I was just posting and trying to show people how most of the time on these coins, these low caps, you don't have to be super fucking early. Like shout out to all you guys who caught the shit at 50K. I know there's a few guys in the chat. Top Shot says he saw it at 350. Who else? Fucking a few others. Steezy said he got it at 7 mil, which is fire. A few others in the comments here said that they caught it at under 1 million. Like shout out to everybody who's doing that. Like I think that's great. But even if you're like busy, like for me, I was off the screen for the most part yesterday, and I did not catch this move at all. But last night, before I went to sleep, I said, look, very, very possibly, kind of like I said here, very possibly we see a setup like this where a lot of times on these meme coins, even when they run up for a few days, you'll see a 30 to 50% correction, which is super healthy. And then what do we see here? I actually have it on my screen. This is actually pretty crazy. This is the markup that I had drawn again back here. As you guys can see, drew it when just the correction was just started, went to sleep, set some limits at around 50 million, which luckily hit, and then obviously just fucking took off to the upside here. It's always good when you wake up and the screen's like this, because you look and it's 3x higher. So for me, the way I'm playing this, I got a nice 3x off of it. I'm taking half. I'm gonna probably take half off here soon and just let the rest ride. For those of you guys that are down 1, 2, 3, 5 million, if you haven't taken profits already, I would highly, highly suggest. Again, everybody has their own shit, not financial advice, whatever. But just generally, if you're up 5, 10, 15x, take some fucking profits. Also, set a profit taking system up right now. This is the biggest favor that you can do yourself going into this next bull period is setting up a profit taking system. We can go more into that a little bit later. I don't want to go too much into it, but set up a profit taking system where you get, you know, where you set milestones where you take profits on the way up. So shout out to anybody who caught this. Absolutely fucking crazy play. I think it's another sign that the market's healing and we're seeing more and more of these pop up. All it's going to take is for Bitcoin to rip above that 94K level for people to get really risk on. And then we start to see coins rip to 100, 150 mil again. So congrats to the Penguin homies. We cooking. Fuck yeah. Also, if you guys, anybody wants to clip any Penguin clips, any clips at all, I'm actually going to partner up I'm looking to partner up with some people on Twitter to maybe do some to post the clips like this. Like shout out to Levi. Obviously Jack is fucking killing it for Thread Guy. But if you at all ever want to do any of your own clips of the stream, whether it be a penguin of your favorite coin, something I talked about, I will always like, retweet, follow. It's always appreciated. Obviously trying to get the clips out on different streams. And just, if you are a clipper, I'm going to going to continue to up the everything, have guests on and all that good stuff. So always appreciate clips. Speaking of guests, I want to talk about some guests here in a second we're having on next week. Would be nice to talk about those coins you have faith in. Yes, I'm going to write that down and talk about that in the next 5 minutes or so. Volley guy reposted the stream. Appreciate you guys. Always appreciate you sharing. Thanks for everything, Bren. Yes, no worries. Volley guy says negative 15 degrees Celsius here and about 5 inches of snow. Where are you? I didn't see. Oh, I don't know if you said where you're at or if you don't want to. It's fine, but that's nuts, bro. Do you see ETH breaking all-time high? Yes, abso-fucking-lutely. I think ETH will hit all-time highs with Bitcoin or maybe even sooner. I think ETH, we look at ETH Bitcoin especially. To me, especially if you hold this low here, which is like a 3-month low, I think it shifts back to the upside. Same thing with Bitcoin. If it closes above this consolidation high at like 0.036, this is a very corrective structure. And I think ETH very likely leads to the upside here. To me, this low here that it formed back in May, kind of where the DATs kind of came around. We had a really nice long that we caught here in the stream with everybody. Where I took profits mostly at 4,800, forming doing another long setup here, which I can show you. That we were talking about a couple weeks ago. Building a long setup here, but this is really where we got a nice caught a nice long, and really from holding spot ETH. From May, where I showed you there an ETH Bitcoin. To me, I think ETH Bitcoin is bottomed out essentially on the lower time frames for a very long time, I think. And I think this is just another correction in the middle of a bigger move up, and ETH Bitcoin moves back towards the 2021 high. And for those of you guys don't know, ETH Bitcoin essentially measures the strength of Ethereum versus Bitcoin over time. So essentially in 2015, the 2016 cycle, Ethereum ripped against Bitcoin. If you were holding ETH, or if you would have sold your Bitcoin for ETH, you were up a lot. 2017 and kind of the bear market that time, was the opposite. And then really for this entire bull market up until the last few months, if you would have sold your ETH for Bitcoin, and essentially you were better off holding mostly Bitcoin in that time. I think that's changed now. Essentially, I think this is the bottom that it's put in here, and that ETH Bitcoin very likely moves back, over the next few years, and that holding Ethereum will actually yield more gains, I think. But with that being said, holding a bag of both is always the best when it comes to the majors. Where do you store your profits when you take from the market? Amazing question. So to me, at all times, I have my portfolio in the investor bucket for the most part. 50 to 60% at all times is in that investor bucket. The investor bucket to me is made up of the majors, Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, a little bit of higher caps, other higher caps, stables, stable coins, obviously. These are the things we know are going to be around for a long time. They're proven themselves, all of that good stuff. And that is essentially what stuff I'll be holding for a very long time. I don't plan on selling my Bitcoin, ETH. Stables, obviously, you can use for other stuff in real life, but a lot of times using that to re-enter the market, and then using the other 40% to accumulate and other stuff, use it to trade stuff like White Whale and Penguin. And essentially what I'm trying to do, Vnox, is take profits back into the investor bucket, whether it be stables, ETH, Bitcoin, Sol. I really, over the next few years, value building a bigger ETH, Bitcoin, and Sol position. I think those things are going to absolutely fucking rip over the next 5 to 10 years. I believe what our buddy Max a couple months ago said, that essentially Bitcoin and crypto is essentially where the stock market was back in the 80s, 90s, even before the internet kind of took off, right? And in that world, I want to be holding a lot of Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol over time, and then stables. So I'm taking most of my profit back into those things, as well as stables, obviously, to have, lifestyle fucking chips or whatever, just to whatever, to have USD goals. But to answer your question, that's what I'm taking my profits back into, is stuff in that investor bucket. Really, those 3 coins and then stables. And doing that by taking partial profits on the way up. You don't have to sell the whole thing or hold the whole thing. I think that's whatever. Can you expect Sol all time high in the next 5 months? I think it's if my base case plays out and we do rip above all time highs in the next couple months, usually, like I said, even on Sol, Bitcoin, ETH, usually takes about 2 to 3 months once we bottom out to rip to all time highs. So if you believe the bottom, like me, that the bottom is either in or is put in the next couple weeks, then you should think that the next couple months after that, maybe this summer. I tend to believe that this summer is going to be a strong time for crypto. But who knows? People say that about a lot of summers, right? What are your top five alt bags? My conviction really lies heavily in. Am I in the Bossman 100 club? Yeah. What are you top five alt bags right now, Bren? Really? So my highest conviction as far as it comes with alts lie in two categories: movement coins, sometimes called movement memes, but I really like to categorize them as movement coins because I'm so bullish on them long term because they've developed a movement behind it that outlives and continues to survive these corrections. These are coins that have survived these large corrective periods before and continue to build and continue to have people and communities that care about the core mission and the core movement behind it. And I think movements as a whole in society, internet movements specifically, are going to only grow in popularity. So the SPX, MOG, Giga, USDUC, ticker, Bitcoin, Troll, a few others, maybe 6 or 7 of them that I've been accumulating over the last few months. Again, these coins have already shown that they have movements and communities, diamond handed holders that continue to not only hold but buy during these times, which makes for huge upside on the way up because there's not a lot of sell pressure. I think that's what we're seeing in a lot of these NFT projects like VFriends, Quirkies, Chimpers. There's collectors that really just like want to hold these things for the long term so that when we do start to have a lot of demand and people start to come in, I watch. Mark my words; those are the projects that are going to go up the hardest. Same thing with the movement coins: SPX, Giga, Mog, ticker, Bitcoin, USD, Troll. Most of the timeline will tell you, oh, why would you be buying things that are a year old? They're never going to move. They're going to do what they did the next 2 or 3 months, last 2 or 3 months. But again, the greatest investors, the greatest traders, the people that continue to stay in the game can see past a couple 2 or 3 months out, right? Most people are just thinking what happens right now, and that's why they don't have any edge or any signal, and they just end up catching the end of the move if they do at all. The people who are able to continuously make big moves and actually see long-term success over and over again are able to see past a couple months, even though even though most of the people are just not seeing it yet. And again, you're gonna miss things and all that, but the greatest kind of trades and investments have been in those kind of things for me personally. The SPX, Giga, Mog, ticker, Bitcoin, multiple times over 23 and 24, these coins have pulled back. Bottom talked about them. Most people are bearish until they start going up. So, yeah, I think those movement coins, and then the other side to answer your question is the flywheel revenue coins, the pumps, the asters, which we can talk about. I think very likely that could be a really nice play, long term kind of hold. Aster, uh, Pump, like I said, Hype, Aster, Uniswap, any of these coins that have real revenue that these coins are producing that during a bull period are going to be very strong and have a flywheel. And then you have the also token works coins, the Punksters, the Vibesters, which I'm extremely fucking bullish on. If there's any good vibes homies in the chat, let me know. Vibester, which is really nice right now. Yeah, I think the movement coins and those kind of flywheel coins are going to do really well. Did I hear Son is migrating to Pump Swap? No, but that's great. That would mean if the streaming thing ever comes back, that Homeboy could start streaming on there, huh? But let me go ahead and check the Z timeline. Shout out to everybody who commented on here. I'm gonna go ahead and read out some of these. The next gold could be uranium. That's another thing I want to talk about. Small now. I'm glad you said that. Uranium, and then also I saw this clip. Where most of these guys go up and ask these guys like questions. It wasn't the main guy who goes up and asks the billionaires and the millionaires stuff, but this other guy went up and talked about this guy. How'd you make your money? And he said, I bought Nvidia or whatever, and I made $10 million. And so how'd you do that? And he said, oh, just NVIDIA was just talked about like 10 or 15 years ago or 8 years ago as like what could really push us into AI. And all the info was there. If you would have just bought the ETFs, and he was talking about how he thinks quantum is going to be the next thing, right? In 5, 10 years, whatever. Google just made a chip for it or whatever recently. And he was talking about how quantum could be that next thing. You don't have to necessarily pick the quantum companies, but start buying the quantum ETFs now. Because if you're buying those ETFs now, the good companies are going to be added to those. And essentially, the good ones and bad ones, and essentially buying those now, you could be set 10 or 15 years out. Again, that's a different strategy. I know we're more crypto people. But if you want to try to build more longer term investing strategies, maybe potentially look to park some money in these quantum ETFs. Spaces are free and one of the best. Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. Shout out to Bossman, like I said, for sharing. Previous Leon says the next penguin is grandma. Yeah, we can look at that. I'm looking for the next penguin, but have no fun to catch it. Keep pushing, brother. Another day to enjoy the Brandmaster class. Appreciate that, Jamie. Gold up again. Yes, yes, yes. But let me just go and conclude out here on Bitcoin. Like I said, probably continue to chop down. Maybe for the next week, maybe 2 weeks. Who knows how long it takes? But I think we see a bottom here in the next few weeks, which reignites the crypto market and sends everything back to the upside. Let me go ahead and pull this one back. But yeah, ETH, same kind of thing. I think ETH's going to probably outperform everything, outperform the other majors. Silver, absolutely on a fucking tear. This would have been an amazing setup here on this consolidation to get in here in April 2025. Dude, silver in the last 6 months, guys, 6 months is up fucking almost 5x. Absolutely incredible. This is an asset that is one of the biggest assets in the world already. And that's why I keep saying, like, you think that, again, timing, who knows the time, but like, you think this silver, which is again a metal that's not the easiest thing to carry, not the easiest thing for people to buy a lot of. I understand there's paper and ETFs and all that, but you think this is going crazy. A metal in 2025 is going to go crazy, but not Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, these other coins. As we're moving into a digital age, like this is inevitable. That's why I said this is a foreshadowing. I don't know if it's going to happen next week. I don't know if it's going to happen on this next run. I think there's a good shot that because of all the fundamentals, institutional investors are ready to buy. Clarity Act helps. Macro is good. Stocks, at risk assets, again, back at all-time highs or right above them. I think everything is adding up to once Bitcoin clears these levels, once we get people risk on again, and then the final piece that I think not a lot of people are expecting is retail mania. We saw in 2021, Trump obviously brought a lot of people in for better or worse. You know, a lot of people got burned. I'm sure a lot of people, whatever, on that one coin. But just like we saw in 2024 briefly, we saw the TikTok meta. A lot of people on TikTok starting to talk about crypto again. Kind of felt like 2021 for a minute, right? 2020. But then Trump came along, and then the biggest thing, Bitcoin topped out, kind of put an end to that party. But I think this time with crypto so much in people's psyche over the last few years, plus speculation, online movements, all of these things getting popular, I think on this next leg that we very likely push into this parabolic type area. I mean, do you think this happens to silver, one of the biggest assets in the world already? You know, asset list, assets ranked by market cap. Silver is the second biggest asset in the world, guys. It is silver and gold now. Fucking mogs everything now. You have Bitcoin at 1.7 trillion, literally 3 times bigger than silver, and you don't think that it can do that? Like even Ethereum, guys, what is Ethereum at? It's like not even a top 50 asset. Ethereum is essentially 1/10 the size. I'm sorry, less than 1/10, like 1/15 the size of silver. Heading into a digital age where everything's going to be on chain, most of it on Ethereum. Man, like again, this is just foreshadowing what is coming for the digital versions of these fucking assets. But shout out to everybody who has sold in Gilver. That's what I was about to say. Say so everybody who has gold and silver, um, and holding it. Shout out to you, dude. I mean, a lot of people's wedding rings might have gold bands or just like necklaces, all that stuff that you bought years ago or up big. So shout out to everybody, man, and who's done well on that. I personally have no physical silver. I'm a digital motherfucker so far. I need to get into to some more gold, preferably maybe on a pullback if we ever get one. But um, yeah, I would not expect this to slow up anytime. Penguin on top, yeah, man. Let's go ahead and check on Penguin again, dude. This is ripping 153 mil again, guys. If you're in this anywhere above 20, 50 million, do not be afraid to take profits. Time and time again, even with the white whale, we saw what happened, guys. White whale absolutely, just destroyed the market for a while. Destroyed meaning just absolutely just outperformed everything for a while. Went all the way up to um 3 mil where we got in, went all the way down to 1 million and then went up to 200 million in a matter of a month. And then what did it do now? Pull back 90%. So I mean, take profits on the way up because you never know when this kind of correction could happen, right? So especially in this crazy ass fucking market. Yeah, I'm gonna take this time. Also, if we could, I'll do a quick reset before we're gonna review several more things. We'll talk about some clips from the World Economic Forum. If you guys could like, comment, reshare, bookmark always helps. Just to get this stream out on the algo. Always appreciated. Do these streams usually on Tuesdays and Fridays, and that's what we're going to stick to most of the time. But if you turn on post notifications, I'll always announce the streams ahead of time. Really, this stream is a place that I talk about all the different stuff that I'm doing in the market, my experience of 10 years in the market, and what I'm doing personally. But I really value these streams as a place that people can come hang out and talk about what they're doing, questions, comments, not just for myself, but others in the community. Luckily, thank God this year I've been streaming for a year and 4 months. Really haven't stopped other than maybe for a week here and there. And throughout the market's been shitty overall. Some people might say, as far as Bitcoin and ETH and Sol kind of being down over the last year. But we've been blessed together in the stream together to be able to catch Pengu, SPX on its way up, USDUC, Pump, White Whale, several of these coins, really most of the coins that did well, Aster, most of these coins that did well this year, days and weeks ahead of time, trade ideas, profit targets, all that good stuff. So it's been a blast. Learned a lot together. I've learned a lot about streaming and content creation and all this great stuff, which I'm so stoked to continue to do as crypto accelerates. I can imagine, it's been so much fun. When times are down, I just can't wait until when everything picks up again. But yeah, it's been great. I know a lot of you guys, Rojam, a lot of these guys have been here this entire time. A lot of new faces, always great to come through. But dude, come back and hang out whenever we're having a stream again. We're not done by any means. I'm gonna be on here for another probably 30, 45 or so at least, or longer. But just dude, if you're already seeing us on stream, definitely pull up and hang out. Questions, comments, let me know what you're doing, and I'll take care of you. It's going to be a good time to over the next few years to make money in crypto, build wealth, build connections, build community. Eventually I want to have a core place. I want to figure out maybe where it'll live, where we can kind of come together as a community and have either a group chat, whatever it may be. So that will come in time. But again, appreciate everybody for coming on and sharing and all that good shit. Got you. Um, 1 second. Uh, but you can hear me. Um, but as I was saying, I want to quote tweet the stream really quick. While I do that, let me know in the chat what you've been doing, what you've been looking at, how you've been feeling. Is the market boredom getting to you. Honestly, I definitely like. I'm still excited to do all this. It's been some great times and good plays and all that, but definitely a different feel on the algo and the timeline. It's just not like how it is during the good times, but there's always going to be better times, guys. And it's like I said, people are sticking around, always make the biggest growth during this next periods. I'm gonna go ahead and quote tweet this. Yo, we're on time. Go pull. Alrighty. I'm just quote tweeting the stream. Again, let me know if you're just pulling up where you're tuning in from and whether this is your favorite stream. What the whether this is your first stream, um, or you're returning. Let me know. Right, let me post this. My bad, guys. All right. Uh, let me see what else I have here. The World Economic Forum was yesterday, and for those of you guys don't know, World Economic Forum is where the powers that be, some people might say the fucking Illuminati, people who run the banks. Let me just look up, just so you know, like world. What is the World Economic Forum? I know it's a place where all the big, powers that be in finance all over the world kind of come talk about kind of the climate of the world, and in 2026, kind of where the world's headed and these different trends. But just to get the formal definition, what is the World Economic Forum? Damn, I have expert on, so it's going to take a second to do it. Yeah, no worries, I want. The World Economic Forum is a non-governmental organization headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, focused on fostering public-private cooperation to address global challenges. So essentially, they come and talk about all the world's finance, different trends, technology, all these different things. You see a lot of the biggest companies, founders, you know, big bankers. You have obviously Larry Fink and all these different people, coming up and talking. Why this is interesting and why this is relevant to crypto, um, is because crypto has been a big topic of conversation at the World Economic Forum. Again, trying to find it, but it's a big topic at the World Economic Forum. Again, it's become extremely clear. That's why I've been so bullish during these corrective periods. What's kind of kept me with so much conviction is watching these interviews with these different financial people, these people who are running funds, who have insight into the traditional finance world. People like Max, who we had on stream last year, who are telling us that on that side of the world, it's extremely obvious that the powers that be are taking blockchain and merging the world's financial system essentially with it, because blockchain essentially makes everything more efficient. It eliminates the middleman. It cuts out certain fees. It makes things faster. And now the last few years, Larry Fink and these other guys have decided that they're going to essentially, I quote, put the world's markets on chain. That's talking from bonds, real world assets, and real estate, equities. They're talking about, obviously you got stable coins, and what that's going to do is maybe not directly translate into SPX 6900 going up right away, but it has an effect where Larry Fink talking about this, doing all this, is going to push the adoption of digital assets, or I'm sorry, digital wallets and digital assets. Stable coins become more popular, makes people more likely to look into Bitcoin. They have a digital wallet. They start becoming more accustomed to digital assets like NFTs. They're more likely to start looking into, instead of stocks, maybe, okay, I have this digital wallet, I'm more likely to look into meme coins or crypto tokens or whatever the heck else, because of this original push from the institutions of the world. It always starts with the institutions for the most part. Bitcoin kind of got lucky where real people for the first time were able to get in, but the meat of the move, the meat of crypto's strength is going to come when the institutions are already in, and I think that's going to happen here. So, I want to find the Larry Fink crypto clip that I wanted to show you guys here. Let's see. Oh, it's right here.
Decimalization
Can you hear this?
is necessary. It's ironic that we see two emerging countries
Jesse, can you hear that? Okay, cool.
leading the world in decimalization, in the tokenization and digitization of their currency. That's Brazil and India. I think we need to move very rapidly to doing that. We would be reducing fees. We would do more democratization by reducing more fees if we had all investments on a tokenized platform that you could move from a tokenized money market fund to equities and bonds and back and forth. We have one common blockchain. We can reduce corruption. So I would argue that yes, we have more dependencies on maybe one blockchain, which we could all talk about. But that being said, the activity.
It's interesting though that a lot of people are bringing up is he talked about one blockchain. Like a lot of people are automatically assume he just means some kind of BlackRock, chain or something. I don't know. I think more likely is that it's not going to be all or nothing for the most part. Like I think most of blockchain demand, block space demand, like anything is going to be winner take all. It's like most electric cars. I don't know if most electric cars are by Tesla, but like, you know what I mean? Like winner takes all in most of these things, within the rest of the market kind of taking. Tesla might not be the best example, but the rest of the market taking like a smaller pieces. So I think more likely to happen is that Ethereum and its L2s, but mostly Ethereum will take most of the block space demand, 60-70%, I've heard some people say. And then the rest of it, 30% will be split among Solana and then the rest of them. So that's interesting. Either way, it just goes to show that the world's powers that be are talking a lot about crypto. It's going to only continue to increase. And I think on this next leg here, we're going to really get a lot of adoption of global assets and digital assets and all that good stuff. What if Pengu is the next penguin? Pengu is definitely looking fucking ripe here too. I've been buying a good amount of Pengu. Also, Pengu I put in the is one of the coins I've been buying a lot in the movement category. Pengu is an amazing setup right now, forming a consolidation that kind of formed for about a month here, went up and is now forming a what I believe is like a bigger double bottom or consolidation that I think leads to much higher prices again in this next leg. I think Pengu has a shot at going back to all-time highs with the rest of the market once it rips. So been buying a lot of Pengu. About 70-80% correction, but I think it goes higher eventually. Don't know if NFTs are on topic for this space today, but wanted to know which VFriends character you believe is the strongest chance to become mainstream. That's an interesting question. I think that many of them, it's really interesting. Like with any of these things, a lot of these characters, very rarely, I mean, I guess Mickey Mouse and stuff like that. Like you just never know which characters are going to pop off, right? Especially with VFriends. There's 250 of them, right? Which is pretty crazy. I think ones with traits that are very, very very core traits. Um, that core traits like patience, um, kindness, um, different stuff like that. What else? Patience, kindness, um, common sense, different stuff like that that are very empathy, stuff like that that are very popular traits and stuff that especially Gary himself talks about in his content. I think are more um, yeah, more they're very popular soft skills that I think are going to be very popular and have a better shot at obviously seeing mainstream success, and the prices reflect in that. The black cat is obviously the most coveted one because it is a logo. But there's patient pig, patient panda, common sense cow, like I said, empathy elephant. These ones that are very popular traits. Probably have a very good shot at making it, but who knows? There could be Notorious Ninja, for example. They made this one where it's the comic, is about this kid who is a really like skateboarding, and then he like becomes a ninja and stuff. Like, who knows? Notorious isn't a you know top 10 trait, but that one could be the one that pops off. So there's several of them that I like. I personally like my favorite character, Bullish Bull. Um, some of the more crypto trading investing ones I really am more drawn to, but Bullish Bull, Balance Beetle. I like the Gift Goat, different stuff like that. I don't know how much that's going to be in the actual IP, but Bullish Bull is my favorite. We have been getting all time high for silver every week. I know it's crazy, huh, Lang? Well, Lang, have you been trading or holding any silver? Kind of staying away from the main time. Missed Penguin, by the way. All good, brother. There'll be more plays. Always been here since last year. Great feeling showing up every time I learn a lot. Thank you, Noel. Thanks for being here, bro. Don't check out. Don't please. I'll check out. Don't real quick, bro. Disclaimer coin. Um. So disclaimer coin. So big correction. Pretty solid top setup. This consolidation that was here. I don't know anything about this coin, the community, anything like that. But if this is a coin you believe is going to have staying power and will bounce back, this is the time to really buy. The positive signs is there has been a day or so of consolidation. For a correction like this, you want to see it consolidate for a bit longer, and then just like I showed you for Bitcoin earlier, really the trigger would be as if it closed above the consolidation high at around 900K. At that point, very likely we'll be off to the races. And if it's able to close and do that, very good chance it goes back to all time highs. So really, if you believe this coin is going to survive and has something about it that's going to have it bounce back, the team still building, whatever the hell you're bullish on, other than the chart, this is the time you want to be buying if it were to consolidate for a bit. If it were to go again above a million, would probably be a good chance at that point that it goes back to all time highs, or at least pushes higher. How can you realistically spot the next Pengu before it goes parabolic? That's a good question, Rolly. Again, I think catching it real early at like 50K, that's not really my game, right? I think paying attention to the trenches, paying attention to um, different stuff going on in the mainstream, and then seeing a coin at like a couple million, you can usually catch. But I think the sweet spot bread and butter is waiting for me, is waiting for a coin that's really kind of established, but then shows like we saw in Pangu last night, a nice 30, where is it? 30 to 50% correction. Let me find Penguin. Nice 30 to 50% correction like we've seen here. Um, sorry. Nice 30 to 50% correction like we saw here. That's really where I like to get in for nice 3, 4, 5Xs with size. And then I can take profits, pretty easily. Those are kind of what I like to wait for. You kind of got one here, 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 instead of buying on the way up or buying really early. Those are good for 3 to 4, 5Xs. Other than that, you can catch things pretty easily if you're paying attention, maybe in some group chats and all that. Um, but yeah, other than that, dude, you could have easily caught this again at 36 million and you'd be up about 5X right now. So 5X in less than 12 hours. Keep paying attention, keep putting on post notifications, turn into the Bossman Calls Telegram channel and all that. There'll definitely be some more plays coming up, I think. Been a heck of a while. Zilla, I know you've been here for a minute, bro. Worth breaking down further to start discussion. Yeah. Love that how to hit the next Pengu. Next up, Penguins. Yes, sir. Um, let's see. Look how low Giga is. At some levels, like 1 million market cap coins. So many holders are Coinbase normies. Mando shares. He's starting to get very bullish on hyper. Yeah. So Two coins I really want to highlight right now that I think are extremely good. Here, let me pull it up first. Two coins I want to highlight right now that I think are going to be extremely good opportunities heading into this next bull. Okay, two coins that I want to go over right now that I think are going to be extremely good opportunities heading into this next bull that are high cap, already established coins with a lot of upside. Right, two of them that are flywheel coins. Again, essentially pull fall into that category of coins that apps that people are really using that have strong revenue, especially during bullish times, and that is hyper liquid. The first of all, this is obviously a deep correction on hype, about 50% correction, the biggest one it's really had since it started running back in April, really hard. But it is in a nice choppy correction, which tells me there's still a lot of people accumulating despite the market pulling it down. I think this one is a no brainer that once the market does come back up, that the hype flywheel will start to churn again. And I think this is a nice long term play. Now, is this, there's probably better alpha and maybe this churns up slower than a lot of these other coins do. But I think if you're looking for something that's a higher market cap play with still a lot of upside, maybe four or five, like what is this, a 3x just back to all time highs? I really like hype here. Again, it's a ever like people who trade perps, which we know a lot of people trade perps during good times in the markets. Hyperliquid is still, I think, the leader, or at least where a lot of people are trading right now. Lighter, I know, is coming up, and then another one, Aster, same kind of thing. I think the top two or three of these coins are going to continue to do well. Obviously, I thought we were going to go up here like a lot of other people did back a few months ago, but now that the market's come down lower, I do think Aster again. They are opening up a L1 on Aster as well. Some people think this is going to be Binance's way of doing a lot of more stuff on chain. So I like Aster here as well. A little bit more consolidation. I think it pushes higher too as well. Back probably to all time highs eventually. So this is something I've been buying as well. Aster and Hype look good here. And then review the timeline for a bit longer. But if you're just tuning in or just tuning in for the last few minutes, we're talking a lot about how Bitcoin again looks like it's very close to closing in on its bottom. How I do think in the next year or so that it will follow gold. I think digital gold 25 ended 25 into the beginning of 26 is the time of time of gold. I do think digital gold will make its run here as well after we come back down probably a bit longer. Show a rejection off 81 and then a close above 94K unlocks a lot more upside in my opinion. Probably back to all-time highs, at least 100K plus, and that's when I think everything starts to rip up. That's when you start to see sentiment and everything start to return. And I think we're days or weeks away from it. Obviously, it's impossible to know for sure, but comparing it to past structures, I think we're close here, guys. And yeah, other than that, World Economic Forum again talking a lot about crypto lately. I think that's going to translate to more adoption. Probably come back next year. Crypto will be even more adopted, um, by especially by the institutions. We have Penguin obviously going crazy. I think what we learned here today is that you don't have to catch the bottom of Penguin. You can or bottom of these coins. You can do a nice, 35, wait for a 30-50% correction, catch it there, and get a nice 3 to 5x with size or however much size you want to use. And yeah, let me see here again. Usually do these streams, guys, Tuesdays and Fridays. That's what we're going to continue to stick to for the most part, unless I make an announcement otherwise. Tuesdays and Fridays at around 11:30 a.m. Turn on post notifications, follow the stream, check out the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel. This next week on Monday as well, I'm going to be on stream with my buddy Jaden. We're going to go over a lot of. Wow, I swear the uh, the searchability on that is on Twitter is crazy. Jaden and I are going to be on stream on Monday to talk a lot about crypto, but also NFTs. This guy's videos, you've probably seen him all over the timeline. This guy, homie Jaden, his videos have been doing really well, talking about NFTs and crypto and these short videos going over the news and stuff. Him and I are going to be talking NFTs, crypto, a lot of good stuff at I think 2 p.m. PST. Check that out. Thursday, we're going to have a Twitter space again with my buddy Hemdog. Going to talk a lot of NFTs, a lot of other stuff going on in the market. This is your opportunity if you want to come up, say what's up, chop it up with everybody, to ask questions, come hang out. Again, Thursday, that one's going to be at 7 p.m. PST. Other than that, Tuesdays and Fridays for the next stream. Obviously, not a lot going on right now, but if we learned anything from this stream, set up a profit taking system right now. Continue to stay involved. Don't get, continue to stay sharp because obviously we know the opportunities on the other side once these bull markets continue to go to build long term wealth, make connections, all that good stuff. I appreciate everybody who's continuing to still push and stick around, especially hanging out on my stream and the Telegram channel. Internally grateful. It's been a hell of a year. Last year for a lot of us. If you've been struggling with the markets, whatever else, obviously it gets better. And I appreciate all of you for coming on stream here again. Be back Tuesday, well, really Monday with Jaden, and Tuesday at 11 a.m. PST. And with that, I hope you guys all have an amazing day. Oh yeah, also I'm gonna do the giveaway. I'll post it in the stream at the bottom in the next 10 or 15 minutes. But with that, guys, I love all of you. I hope everybody has an amazing day, and take care. Peace.